Tonight on That's Dark.
Nickelodeon, children's TV, or a child's horror story. Follow us as we talk about the dark side of child actors.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
It is Alyssa.
And Heather.
And I know we said that we were going to talk about Madeline Soto, but
Retrograde.
Oh, yeah. And solar eclipse. Last week was a doozy, so I didn't have any of my notes prepared. So we're going to have an off-the-cuff conversation about all of the Nickelodeon stuff that has transpired. Because, oh my God.
Very off the cuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I'm going to heavily imply that you guys watch. I'm sure a lot of you have already seen. What is it called? Oh my God, I can't remember the name of it.
it's called Quiet on the Set.
Quiet on Set. Yes.
Quiet on Set.
Okay, please go watch Quiet on Set. I still haven't watched the newest episode. I think it's all about Drake. Like, I've seen the one about Drake, but I think there's another one and he's going into more depth on it. I have not watched that one yet.
It was taking me into a really bad headspace.
Oh my God.
So I started watching it and then I pulled back because we all know I've suffered abuse.
Yes.
And so I think I definitely didn't suffer. I didn't suffer abuse at the hands of, what they, like, I suffered abuse,
right.
Child abuse. And so for me, it kind of put me in I just hate watching men groom or even women. Like, I hate seeing it. Like when because I didn't know anything about Dan Schneider. No idea.
Really?
I had no idea. I used to watch Nickelodeon all the time. Can't do that on television, but it seems more in the next generation that Dan Schneider, because like the Amanda Bynes show, which Liz, you've watched, you grew up with Liz it. Did, or Good Burger.
Yes.
Good Burger. I say that right.
I have for a couple of years now, I've known that there's something about Dan Schneider because I've heard from a lot of the YouTubers I watch. I don't know. I know it's a contradictive subject, but I still like Shane Dawson. He, years ago, said the one subject he would never touch was Dan Schneider. Because of so many people that would come out and talk about him, he would like immediately, he's so powerful that he could like go after people. So I knew for a while that they'd always been like doing these like little subliminal like hints about him. But I didn't know, like obviously none of us knew until the documentary came out of how far it went.
I didn't know he was on that one show. I didn't know he started on, was it Cotter? I actually watched that show and I can't think of the name right now. Cotter.
I also kind of like, of course, Dan Schneider is like the creator of the shows. He's like the main face. So I get why it's more like centered around him. However, I feel like
there's a lot more.
He's not even the main awful person.
No.
What the hell? I can never remember. Was it Brian Peck?
Yeah.
Good fucking God above. I just can't even with how disgusting he is. And the other one, I can't remember his name. I should have written down the names of these people.
The host of the Double Dare is my favorite. I was so happy to see him on there and not bad. Like, I was like, it better not be him.
Who?
The hosts of Double Dare, or what's it called? Dare?
I don't think I ever watched that.
Yeah, I did. It was one that I grew up with where they had to like climb up a big nose and dig out like the thing. His name is Mark something.
Okay.
What's his name? We're going to be doing this all for the.
I was going to say,
what's this? What's that?
Sorry, bear with us, everybody. This is why I said this is a off the cuff just conversation because it's a very sensitive subject right now. I think we all, like as a collective generation, feel very, very upset now.
Mark Summers.
Okay, I still don't know him.
He's on the show. He speaks about like certain things.
Okay,
but he's not one of the.
He's not a bad one.
No, no.
You know who I love is Jerry Trainer. Love him. Yeah. He's the best. The iCarly guy.
Yeah.
Did you know he would even on his off days when he was not supposed to be filming, he would still show up because he was protecting them.
Yeah, Miranda Cosgrove, and he would try to protect
iCarly was, oh my God, I loved that show.
Also, that video where they showed Ariana Grande
when
she was like laying on the ground and then you see her get up and like pull her skirt down and like the fear on her face, like it just ate my heart. Like I was like, oh my God, like it makes sense now. So many things make sense. Because like you hope, because you know, if you look back at child stars farther back, they've had very fucked up lives. Oh, yeah. Drew Barrymore. Oh my God. Case in point. Dude. No adults ever saved her. No. They did not. She talks about the fact that she goes and orders a drink at a bar at 9 years of age. Oh yeah, and they were just like thinking it's normal. Yep. I have a really cute story about that because you know how she was on E.T.? Yes. So I guess she literally loved E.T., like the little animatronic, so much that, what is his name, the director? Steven Spielberg. Yes, so much that he would, like, because during the breaks, she wouldn't go hang out with, like, people. She went and sat with the animatronic, and she loved him and would talk to him. And so Steven Spielberg told everybody to keep him turned on so that she thought he was, like, talking with her. And I was like, that's so cute. By the way, Drew Barrymore is one of my favorite people. God. Like, talk about, what were you saying, PTG, post-traumatic growth? That girl has it in spades. Like, massive amounts. She's such a good-hearted person. Dude, the energy that just comes off of her. The best. Like, amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. And I watch her Drew Barrymore show, and everybody that comes on there, she just has so many. I always say when people gravitate, like they all gravitate to her. Yes. Like that tells you something, you know, about them. Yeah. So, but going back to the Nickelodeon thing with Dan Schneider. I didn't honestly never heard of him. Yeah. Until this, I was like, oh, because again, I don't think I was having babies when he was really in his prime at that time, you know, prime at the time. I know that's not. I love that rhyme. Yeah, he's really just gross. Like, I remember years ago just hearing like he had a foot fetish and like he had his pool shaped like a foot. Like just weird stuff, but I didn't know the extent of how like disgusting. Yeah. Like I didn't know the extent of it, and his misogyny, just all of that is like insane. But the main villain is Brian Peck. And oh my God. I don't think I've even gotten to him yet. So you got to fill him in. Oh my. So do you know about all the Drake stuff? Yeah, I've heard bits and pieces about Drake. So essentially, I don't want to ruin it too much for you. Spoiler alert. Yeah, this is going to be a spoiler for me. So essentially, he was groomed. Yeah. Have you seen like Drake's dad talk about how he would try to keep him from Brian because he knew he's being weird with him. And so, oh my God. What? Brian Peck's the one that when Drake woke up and he was being essayed. Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. No correlation to Josh Peck, everybody, from Drake and Josh Peck, great. Wonderful. But Brian Peck is the one who, when Drake was staying over, he woke up to him doing things to him. And his dad knew long ago, something's not right with this guy. I want to keep him far away from him because he knew he had an ulterior motive. And essentially, Brian Peck, being the groomer that he is, knows, what do I need to do to get to what I want? I need to sever that relationship between father and son because he's what's holding me back from Drake. And that's exactly what he did. He essentially made it to where he would start talking to Drake's mom, getting in her ear, saying like, oh, I think he's really holding Drake back. I think blah, 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 blah. And then he would start talking to Drake saying the same thing, how your dad is like essentially lying about, and I'm vaguely going over this. Like, I'm not doing any service to like the actual episode that talks about this, but essentially, yeah, dude, it's crazy. But essentially, he gets into Drake's ear, he gets into Drake's mom's ear, and then he's basically trying to be his dad in a way. And so then that relationship severs, and Drake's dad was beside himself. And he told his mom, he's like, do not let him alone with that man. Don't do it. He knew. And so essentially what happened is he did find a way to, and on the weekends, I guess because Drake's mom didn't want to be driving him back and forth between LA, I believe it was, he was like, oh, just let him stay over at my house.
And she did.
Hell no.
Yeah, I agree.
I would literally, you know how me and Liz's stance is about sleepovers.
Oh, for sure.
Sleepovers are not okay ever, especially with an adult man.
Agreed.
Sorry. No, I don't care how old your son is. No. Like,
do you know?
Sleepovers always lead to no good.
Of course. Do you know that Drake's dad, because he was very upfront about how he did not like Brian Peck. He told everybody, he even told it straight to Brian Peck.
That wrecked him, man, when he found
Oh my God. I
couldn't even imagine.
It hurt me so bad to watch, and he was just crying. But he was called, it was like everybody just basically called him a homophobe. He's like, oh, are you just like, because he's gay, are you just homophobic? You don't want him alone with your son because of, yeah. And so they essentially attacked the father and made him feel like, it's
so to me, this is how I look at it. And again, maybe they would have let him stay at a woman's house. Like when a man is gay, right? And like if you have your son and your son's like, I'm going to spend the night with that person. If they're gay, to me, it's almost like having them spend the night with the opposite sex,
right?
Because that's their preference, not the kid, but the person's. And I just would really, maybe because I have been abused, I would just automatically, red flag would go up. Like, why do you want him to stay there? Like, why are you so insistent that, like, why do you care so much? You know, that's exactly what I would automatically think.
Well, as an adult, there's no world in which I would want a minor that's not my child or family to be staying at my house. There's no world in I mean wanting that.
No, I don't either.
I and it's baffling to me, obviously, because he is a predator, but it's baffling to me the parents that just are like, oh yeah, that's fine. And I'm not trying to bash parents or like their decisions, but there has to be like, you know, some accountability there on their end too, where it's like you're supposed to be there for your child, and
one small mistake can lead to a lifetime of trauma. And that's what I think of all the time. Dude. One small, what you think is insignificant, can lead to just a lifetime of trauma. It is that's just how it is. And I think of it all the time. That's why we were never big on sleepovers. We have absolutely no sleepover policy with the boys. I wanted to with the girls, but we know how my oldest is. She's her own. We definitely have a no sleepover policy with the boys, just because of the fact that, like, I was like, why are we even, like, because we felt bad when parents would be like, oh, okay, then we would feel bad that we say no all the time, right? And then now I'm like, why? No.
Feel bad.
I don't feel bad. Like, even if I completely trust a person, there's no reason for a sleepover. You
never can.
We call it a sleep under. So you can come over or they can go over there, and then we're going to pick them up when it's time for bed. We call it a sleep under. That's what we do. I know for myself, no good.
No, it's not. I do too. That's what happened when I was a kid. My friend I'm not going to get into it here. Maybe another episode. But yeah. It's just not a good situation ever. So
I guess it's just sad to see it still happen, right? Like with all the knowledge that we have. Yeah. And I know this is still back in the early,
this is a while.
2000s, I think it was. But like going back all the way to child stars, Shirley Temple, like, Julie Garland, like Judy Garland, like as you go forward, like, they're kids. They're teenagers. Right. Like, and I feel like so much is just passed over. It is. Because I'm sorry, but a lot of the parents see that money.
Absolutely.
And they just turn a blind eye.
Absolutely.
And it's like, no amount of money can, because I mean, so many of the past child stars, I'm talking like Brady Bunch, like, so not Brady Bunch, but like they kill themselves, they off themselves, and because they just didn't have any protection. Like, where's the protection?
Right.
I
know. It's awful. And then also, I don't know if you saw in Drake's episode where I'm honestly shocked how under wraps he kept it. Until now, no one knew any of this. And that's insane that it was able to be kept that secret.
He lives in Mexico, doesn't he?
I think he did. I don't know if he still does, but Yeah, I think so.
Because he had something against him.
He had something against him with a 13-year-old. He was talking to a minor, and it was all, I guess, I believe he was talking to her. She came out and said he was grooming her. Everything was covered in court, I guess, and he was not found at fault because he
shouldn't talk to a 13-year-old.
Well, I don't think he knew it was a 13-year-old.
Oh, okay, got you.
That's at least what he says. I don't know. Is it likely that, I mean, it's not uncommon for the pattern of what, exactly happens to then do that. Also, he does have an ex-girlfriend who came out and said he was horribly abusive, which again is in line with what typically happens. It doesn't make it okay.
Thank you, Mr. Peck. You created this.
Right. It doesn't make it okay. But it makes sense, especially I think a lot with men, because they probably feel demasculated. He's probably embarrassed. He doesn't want to talk about it. He has a lot of pent-up anger. Again, not an excuse. But it follows the pattern of what would typically happen. So I'm like, I can see that happened. I can see that he was abusive in a relationship. I'm, again... not okay, and we're still here to talk about the Nickelodeon stuff, but I still do.
I think this could be like an involving Nickelodeon stuff, but it really touches on that topic. It touches on topic of child, abuse, but also in the industry, the entertainment industry, because it's so prevalent. It's so there. And no matter how much it comes out, we don't protect the kids.
Nope, never.
We do not.
Never.
It makes you literally concerned for anybody, because it's you don't protect the kids. Mm-hmm. It's the same way as a woman walking in for, to get a job, acting job, and the director being like, "Oh, show me what you can do for me." What are you going to do? Exactly. Mm. I mean, that's essentially the same thing, because these kids feel so lucky.
Yeah.
And they have these people that are so quote unquote talented around them. And they're obviously amazingly good at grooming, because they are. Someone who is a predator knows how to groom.
Exactly. Oh, speaking of, well, first I'll get into what he talked about during his day in court. And it was heartbreaking, because here he is a kid, and he's testifying against this man. And he walks in, and Brian Peck's whole side filled with people supporting him. Actors.
Of course.
I think he had 50 people, 41 of them wrote not letters of recommendation, but I can't remember what it is, but.
Yeah, I know, a support. Letters of their, it's showing their character.
Yes, a character. I think that's what it is, a character or something.
A character reference.
I think shouldn't even be allowed, personally, because your experience with one person is not the same as your experience with someone else.
But also they could all be in that.
They could all be in it, but also I will give it to a few of them. I think one of them is Ryder something. He was an actor from... Not Boy Meets World? No, what the fuck was it? I don't remember.
Wait, Ryder? He's from Boy Meets World.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
He was one of the people who wrote a letter of support. But he has since come back and retracted it and said he didn't know, because a lot of
Ryder Strong.
Yes, right? Ryder Strong.
Yeah, I love him.
So many people, dude. So many. And this man is powerful. He is in the industry.
Because that's what predators do.
Yeah.
They don't go around just doing it to everybody.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to pick that weak link. Mm-hmm. The one they know, and then they're going to have especially in the industry, being in the entertainment industry, they're going to have their backing. They're going to have plenty of kids and people around them that they never done anything like that with them at all. It was just on the up and up. If they're if they're methodical,
right,
which is scary.
It's
when they're
scary.
that way, when they're an adult and they do that, they will pick out their weak link to groom, why they set up strong links with people. That's a character reference, here, he would never, know. So when this one kid comes up and says, "This happened to me," everyone's going to be like, no way. Yeah.
And so, interesting fact, this same Brian Peck worked with teenage Leonardo DiCaprio And in the video, he was touching on him. So I'm sure some shit went down with him as well. We've all kind of,
I would say.
yeah, not surprised.
Yeah.
So I am willing to bet something happened there as well. And he's been doing this for a very, very, very long time. And it's disgusting that he got such a short amount of time and was out. And guess who hired him? Disney. He was on The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
Then he went on with the London show too.
Did he? I
think so. I just remembered his name. It's the one that was like Yay London. It was like some knockoff show.
Yeah, I remember. Well, I know Disney fired him after the 3rd episode of Sweet Life because I guess somehow they didn't know, or they're claiming that they didn't know. My thing is, someone found out that they hired him and they're like, oh shit, now we gotta fire you. But why? How the fuck does a proven child sex offender, first of all, get let out, but then get rehired to work with children? How?
Because when you're rich, you get away with so much more, and it's just the truth. It's just the truth. I just looked up his movie. He's correlated with so many kids' movies.
Yes.
So many. But when you're rich and you're powerful, you just get away with so much more.
It just fucking pisses me off.
It does.
It really pisses me off.
Wrecking people's lives left and right. Don't even care.
It's disgusting. And then, so, okay. What kind of broke the silence for Drake was his girlfriend, and this is not the same girlfriend that claims that he was abusive. This is while all of this was going on when he was a kid.
And again, we don't know.
We don't know.
We're not supporting Drake and being like, oh, he definitely didn't do all those things. Like, not at all. We're talking about what happened to him, and that's it. Like, we're just talking about what happened to the kid, you know, the teen. That should never have happened.
Right.
And I always like it because there's a podcast I listen to, and when they're going over like killers and stuff, they're like, we feel bad for the kid.
Right.
Not for the adult who maybe, I don't know if he did, but I'm saying like that's who we feel bad for. And I love that train of thought. Like I feel bad for the kid who went through all this, not the person who decided to do something bad at the end of it.
Right. So his girlfriend's mom is the one that broke all of the silence. So I guess what was happening is, now Drake said at first he was thinking, oh, he's just like a really cool dude who cares about me, you know, like the typical thing. Then all this stuff starts happening and he starts kind of like being like, this is weird, but like it's embarrassing. He's not going to talk about it. He doesn't want to tell anyone. And so Brian is like taking him to Disneyland. He's like doing all this stuff with him. Drake has always been very musically talented, had a band. And so Brian would go to his shows. And again, at first, Drake is like, oh, that's really cool. He's just being supportive of me. No, he was grooming him. So I guess what happened, and this is kind of near the end where he was starting to get fed up with everything. He had a girlfriend now, and he was over her house one night. And his phone kept ringing and ringing and ringing. And it was Brian, and he wasn't answering. And I guess then he finally answered, and Brian was like, well, I thought we were going to go to Disneyland today. And he's like, I'm at my girlfriend's. We're not doing that tonight. No. Pissed. He gets pissed. Calls him and calls him and calls him. Then he starts calling his girlfriend's house. And calls and calls and calls. So his mom was like, this is weird. So she was like, Drake, can I talk to you in the kitchen? And she was like, what's happening? This is not okay. This is not normal. What is going on? And he just laughed it off, you know, whatever. Again, still not wanting to be like open about everything. And his mom told Drake's mom about it. And then also was like, I'm taking him to our family therapist because I know something isn't right. And he even said, he's like, and he even said at first he still didn't open up with the therapist. He was like, at first I was just like, yeah, well, I'm glad we caught it before anything bad happened. Like just kind of like not getting into depth on everything. But then eventually he did. And he ended up telling his mom everything. And then they went to the cops, and he got on a call with Brian and would call him while he was being recorded, and tried, like, he would just start it off with like, I'm really struggling with everything, like, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then finally Brian gave a full confession over the phone. And he even was like, am I being recorded? So that's what got him. That because he had the full confession.
Well, I hope all these people could have listened to that and then thought about their character reference, you know?
Yep.
Because
a lot of them have like come out and apologized and said they didn't believe that he was really that way. I kind of feel like I don't know how you don't believe that. Maybe older people, you know, maybe people his age wouldn't see it, I guess. I don't know. And one of them had the audacity to write in a letter, I don't think he would have done something like that if there wasn't a level of temptation.
Oh my God, the victim blaming?
Yes, dude. And it just, oh my God, it just infuriates me.
Do you want to know why victims don't come out, everybody? You want to know why?
That's why.
Victims struggle to come forth and say what really happened to them. You want to know why this keeps happening? Because of that shit right there.
Absolutely.
Because of victim blaming.
Yep.
Because they don't feel safe.
Yeah.
Ever.
Right.
And it's just disgusting because all this shit keeps happening.
Yep.
These predators grooming. And you know, predators like that are going to put themselves in a place, in a position
of
in
power
life to where they can be a predator.
Right.
Where they can do it freely.
Yes.
And then there you go. Then you victim blame. And I'm telling you, I listen to, I'm going to have to plug a podcast, another podcast, but Small Town Dicks.
Yes.
And the one thing that was insane to me is how much, even with cops, until like, I'm talking probably until like the one case I listened to was early 2000s, they victim blamed.
Oh my God.
Even the media would write things in the paper, slamming. There was this like one case I listened to and the girl was 16 and the pastor got into this whole relationship. And when the media got a hold of it, they were like they were just like, seduced him.
Yep.
Like she's 16.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like get the fuck out of here.
It's disgusting.
But that's what I see all the time.
Yep.
Is the victim blaming. Like temptation.
Yeah. No, dude, I'm sorry. There's again, as an adult, there's nothing a 16-year-old boy can do that's going to tempt me.
I'm telling you.
Like,
ew.
Disgusting.
I literally would be like, oh, like I would, I don't care if they were standing there naked. I'd be like, oh my God, get your clothes back on. I'm going to throw up. Like,
yes.
With my hands over my face.
Yes.
Like, that's disgusting.
It just, oh my God, it pisses me off. Now, here's what's interesting. And I've noticed a lot of guys have had a different, not all of them, but it has been more men that had a different relationship with Dan Snyder. When this all happened, Dan Schneider did know all of it, and he knew it was straight. He didn't know that it was happening, but when Brian Peck got arrested, Drake did tell Dan, and Dan was very good about it and made sure he was okay, and it was really great to him. And this is from Drake's account.
Because his was girls, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was more misogynistic. He was not just because it's not okay. He was more of that, you know, those like the writer room guys, how they just have vulgar shit. They're like going back and forth.
Yep.
Not okay.
I heard something about with him and Amanda though, and how they had this like legitimate,
yes, very weird.
Yeah.
Since she was a kid, like she would be in the room with him for hours. There's
almost like a relationship going on. Yeah, that's what.
Now there's also a rumor, and Amanda has not confirmed. She's actually denied it and said it's not true, but also victims can say things are not true. We don't know. This is a complete rumor, so don't take my word on it. Someone had mentioned that he impregnated her at 13, and then
actually she came out and said she had an abortion.
Okay.
She did. And she still hasn't
said who.
Pointed to it, but they said that she was told this is like why she went off the deep end, because she was made to stay quiet because they made her have an abortion because she did get pregnant.
At 13?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So chances of it being Dan?
I have her on my TikTok. Pretty likely. Her actually talking. She did come out and just say
that she did actually have that.
Yeah.
But she didn't say.
She didn't. I don't think she said it was Dan Schneider. No. She said that she was made, but she did say she was made because of the show to get an abortion. So I can't point it to Dan Schneider.
But you can kind of assume that that's who it was.
But it took her. I mean, all the things we've seen with Amanda Bynes, like, you know, she just did what everybody, like I always call it, destruction.
Yeah.
You know, when you can't get help, when you're not protected, you just go about when you don't have the right tools, you're gonna destroy your life. You're gonna go through a whole destruction phase. And sadly, some people don't come out of it. Others finally get help, you know, but it is definitely where you're just keep, you know, adding that into your life because that craziness where you just don't have to face everything that was done to you. Yeah. You don't need to face it because you're just going to drink. You're going to do drugs. You're going to
just mask it.
But you're just going to take away that pain any way you can.
It just makes me so sad, you know, and I've heard a lot of people say how they feel bad that they watched these shows and loved them and supported them. I don't feel bad about that because it's not like we all were out here knowingly supporting it. So I don't feel bad about that. What I feel bad about is, and I've done it, we all have, when we see Britney Spears going off the deep end, when we see Amanda Bynes going off or Lindsay Lohan, we're all judging the shit out of them. And now we don't because we know what happened.
I was guilty of Amanda, but I definitely judged Britney.
I definitely
judged Lindsay Lohan.
Yes.
And it's sad. It's sad when you hear about it.
It's so
Amanda,
sad.
I literally, for some reason, keyed in and was like, something's wrong.
Well, she just went so...
just boom, polar opposite.
Yeah. That it's almost like obvious.
For Britney, I'm sad. I'm so sad for her. She has obviously got bipolar and she has been taken advantage of and just thrown away. And so her Instagram is a little weird, but like that's just because,
you know, she's living her best life now.
She is, but at the same time, I see the pain in her eyes.
Oh, I know.
She has not
dealt with.
She can't deal with anything. She just can't. It sends her off the deep end every single time when she like puts her little, like she'll just write these, you know, things about things that have happened to her. And I'm just like, it hurts. It's really sad. And Lindsay Lohan, I'm so happy to see her now married. Dude. She's doing well. She got a baby. Like it's just, but at the same time, we're all like, oh my God, she's doing drugs. Like,
I know.
Step back and why?
That's exactly what I was going to say is we're just like so judgy. Like, oh, look at another one that's a drug addict. And it was like a joke for a while. Like, oh, another Disney star, another Nickelodeon star. But, and it's like, why though? You know, now it's so obvious to us.
Protected.
No. And I'm guilty of judging them. And that is what I feel bad about.
I feel worse because here I am a victim of abuse and I can judge them too. And I know from my own life that there was a time in my life where I was just pure destructiveness. Yeah. Like I absolutely was like, I don't want to feel. Right. I'm just going to go about life and do what I want to do. Yeah. And it was all destructiveness, you know? And so there is times that I don't know. It's like there's some times where there's some people that I don't see it right away where I'm like, oh, something's bad, you know? But then there is other people like Amanda where I was like, something's not okay. Like she don't just go to that big of a swing. Right. You know, when you look at pictures, I think it was like 2020 or maybe before that. And then like a year after, stark difference. So different. Because when you run from your demons, when you run from your trauma,
that's exactly what you're doing. You're running and you're not coping.
And but when you're doing that, you're continuing to hurt yourself and you're not going to make sound decisions. You're not going to make healthy anything. And all you're going to bring in your life is unhealthiness because that's all you know. Right. You know,
it's so true.
Yeah.
And then with, I cannot remember her name. I feel so bad. She was the one who, I think she was 13 and she was emailing the guy back and forth who was on set. And he would send her normal emails for... Also, first off, no way in hell am I letting my 13-year-old kid. I believe she may have been 9 when she started this, but either way,
you're talking about. I can't remember her name, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
No way in hell I'm letting an adult email my child. No. And so he claimed he wanted her email to go back and forth about scheduling, which again, the parent should be dealing with that, not the child. But then he sends a picture of his dick and says, thinking about you. And she just ran from her computer crying, hysterical, told her mom. And her mom pulled her from the set, which good, but then didn't call the cops. and said she didn't call the cops because she didn't want to be deemed a bad parent for having her kid be a child star.
And she would be. That's what's sad.
Yeah.
We would have all judged her. Like,
Yeah.
we all would have judged and been like, well.
We would have all judged, but then also...
But I would have took that as a parent and been like, fine, whatever. Like, fine, deem me as a bad. I'm going to the cops, you know?
It's like, you gotta... And I get it. I get it was a very, very, very different time then. But also, your child is your one and only... Like, that is your job, is to take care of them. And what about, you know, that happened to her? Wouldn't you want to prevent it from happening to other children? Knowing that this man is working with children, it's kind of important.
It's that shock factor, and that's what they do. So there's certain type of grooming where it's like when you have a kid, like you try to do little blips like that to
see how far he can get.
Yeah, we'll see how far. And then also to, what is that called when you're like desensitizing them? Right? Because like with my abuser, it was nudie magazines. I was only 4 going into 5 years of age. God. And he would show me, I think it was Hustler, and would show me, you know, I've never seen that, you know, and that's how it started.
Right.
And then when I didn't run until, because I didn't have a safe place to go run, right? So he would show me a little more. And then show me a little more. And then it went to, oh, here, I have this video. Let's watch this video. And then it went to, we're going to do the things that are on the video. Yeah. Now, I'm 5 years old at this time, you know, but he desensitized me going along because I'd never seen those things. Like, I didn't have a mom, and I was very young, but I didn't have a mom I could run to. Right. Because I never felt safe with her. You know, I just did not, you know, and so amazing that her daughter ran crying.
Exactly. You know? Yes. And felt safe to go to her.
Felt safe to do that. I do wish she could have just put that aside and realized that, you know what, they probably are going to say stuff about you, but you're saving your kid and you're saving future kids.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And I don't want to, again, I'm not getting on here to judge parents or what they did, because everybody has a reason. Nobody knows what they're going to do in a certain situation until they're in it.
True.
And I'm not judging her. And it's a good thing that she's coming out and talking about it, you know? It's just... I don't know. It's all around just it's just sad. And it's kind of like, it breaks the whole, it's like your whole childhood is like broken of like all the things that you loved so much. And you're like, all this dark shit was under it. And it's like, oh my God.
You don't ever think the same again.
No.
Like, even with just one dick pic.
Oh God, no.
You don't ever think the same again.
No.
You just saw something that you've never saw before.
Yeah.
And also, side note, just stop with the fucking dick pics, dudes. Like, all in one thing with a 13-year-old, that's disgusting. But honestly, women don't want it either.
And I will tell you what we do immediately. If it's unwanted, we share it with all of our friends.
We do.
And we laugh about it. So
we laugh, you know, about it and talk about how ugly it is. Yeah. So just keep that in mind as you're going to snap that picture down your pants and send it to some woman that you think's going to want it.
Yeah.
No.
Nope.
Unless you have a mutual agreement ahead of time.
Yes.
That she does in fact want it.
Right.
Do not send it. And so I just had to go on that little tangent because that's one thing that I've always noticed, especially online.
Oh, yeah.
Is the unsolicited dick pics.
Absolutely.
Just randomly showing up. Here it is. It's like, okay.
I'm so fortunate to have never succumbed to that. So fortunate.
You are. Yes, you are.
I think it comes down to my bitchy face. I don't know.
I told you.
I don't know.
I've been flashed in public. I was driving in my car on my convertible when I was 20, not even 21. And a guy and a bunch of guys in a car came by me. And then literally one got up in the window and shook his dick at the window. And I was like, my face obviously was horrified because I just raced off because I was like, you know.
Oh my God.
But I've gotten unsolicited dick in person so often. It's not. I worry about my face. Like I've always had.
Oh, you can't hide your feelings. It's all over your face.
But I don't want that. But I worry about like my face and what makes them being like,
oh, that, yeah.
She's a good one.
She wants it.
She'll look at my penis.
I think I've always been, like, in terms of getting one unsolicited over, like, the internet, I have been very antisocial my whole entire life. So I think that saved me there. But
I just have a curse in my life because I literally could have a guy friend that's like my best friend. I did have a guy friend that's my best friend. And he was like, can I show you mine? And I'm like, why? He's like, does it look normal? And I was like, and in my brain, I was like, okay, I don't know. I mean, I did, unfortunately, but I don't know what normal is.
Right.
You know, but I was like, no, I don't want to see that. But then as I was saying that, he's like turning around with it. Just there it is.
Here it is.
And I'm like, you know, you don't want to see that from your guy best friend. No. I think I was only 13 at that time. So he was young too. Okay. So it wasn't, but it was still just a little weird. You know?
Yeah. I did have my friend when we were in high school. But it was more so like an agreed thing. I didn't want to see it. But we were on, do you remember chat roulette?
Yes.
And so we were on that and he was like, okay, we're going to use you as a decoy. You're going to get all these guys, like, ask them if they want to see your boobs and then flash it over. So I saw it in that aspect, but it was more of like a funny, like he wasn't trying to be weird. But that's the one and only unsolicited that I can remember. I could have blocked him out, but that I can remember. I was very fortunate there.
Man, I used to go on chat roulette not that long. Like when we lived in Utah, we would get drunk and we'd go on there and I'd make them put the camera up. I'd be like, put it up. And I would do this, and I got a few to put it up, and they were like, yeah, with their little sorry faces. I was like, there's children on here. You need to get off. Like, I was so...
You would.
I did.
You would.
I did. And then I would, when I ran across little girls, I'd be like, guys, not the place for you. And one of them was like, are you my teacher? And I said, if I have to be, yes. You need to get off of here.
Oh my God, it's so true. It's so not a place for kids.
It is not, but that's what's on there. And these predators know. You can see their gross, gray hair around their nipples. Oh God. Yep. Gray hair around the nipples, stand there with their wee-wee out on camera, no face. You know they are a freaking predator.
Oh, for sure.
I'm sorry. Listen up, men. You're a predator if you're on chat roulette with your dick out and your face cut off. Mm-hmm. With it just out, like you're gonna, because they know that they're gonna connect.
Yep.
And boom, there it is.
Even if your face is on and
you're still a predator. I'm so sorry. Let me caveat there. Period. So sorry. You're a predator, period. But I know when you're hiding your face, you're hiding your identity.
Exactly.
And you're just trying to get a rise.
Just a little worse.
Little girls going on there and getting, maybe boys, getting a glimpse of your cock. And it's dumb. And I don't know why I said cock. Oh. I meant to say
That's
penis.
Such a vile, like, it just seems so like it's just like an aggressive word.
It's so aggressive. Your cock. But they're aggressive with it. That's how I feel. But you don't get to have the C word for it. You get pee-pee.
Yep.
That's what you get to have, what's called. I'm gonna go on there again and be like, look at your little pee-pee. That's what I'm gonna do now. That's my next move.
You'll get the one guy that wants that.
He'll be like, yes, tell me it's little. Actually, no, take it back. That happened to me.
I know it did. That's why.
And I'm great at that.
You are.
Oh, I absolutely can put it down all day long.
Yes.
When I say put it down, put the penis down.
Right.
Tell them how gross it is.
Yes.
I could have a business.
You could. Of demeaning.
I would love to demean men.
Yes.
Sorry.
Anyway.
Not all men, so sorry.
No, I was going to say there's a lot of great ones.
I got trauma.
Yes. I think a lot of men have traumas from men.
Oh, yeah, mine's from men. Yeah.
Even Andrew has said it's from men.
It's from men.
So.
Yep.
You know?
I'm thinking the only trauma I have from a lady.
Oh, I have
is
so
my
much.
Mom. My mom was a big trauma.
Oh, yeah.
Well, friends, right? Because the one time that I tried to come out and tell my friends that I was raped, they told me I was a liar.
That is insane.
So, yeah. And then one of my so-called friends went and dated the man who raped me. Boy who raped me. Boy, he was 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's like, yeah, like it sucks.
Mine was from my father's girlfriend.
Oh, God.
Yep. That was fun. She was awful. I don't think I realized the trauma that woman gave me until recently.
Yeah, it comes out eventually.
It's crazy.
And you're more of an avoidant.
Oh, so avoidant.
So I think you just pushed it back, but your whole life was sculpted around trauma and you could see it.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm just going to push it back here. But eventually it has to come out. Right. And you're like, oh, I got to deal with that.
Oh, that's something I got to work on.
I got to deal with that.
But yeah, it's like, my mom was great. Nothing there. But that woman, my dad's girlfriend.
Do the things she said to you, that's trauma.
Crazy.
Yeah, that is trauma. Trauma. Just always think to yourself, my actions is going to hurt somebody else.
Absolutely.
like, I don't know, and I know I'm saying that out loud, but at the same time, anyone who is truly a predator doesn't give a shit. So they don't care if their actions hurt anybody because they're actually wanting to hurt anybody. And it's interesting that you said that he was tempted, only because I've read things where predators, like especially child predators, think the children are
coming on to them
and coming on to them. Little ones.
Yes.
Like actually think that.
Yeah. I do want to say I read a statistic. There was a study that was done and it's been proven that men overperceive and women underperceive. And what that means is let's say you as a woman go to the counter to order your coffee and the person taking your order, you're kind of like probably more neutral and, don't think they're coming on to you. Mm-hmm. A man will go and she'll just be doing her job, being nice. And they're like, she wants me. It is a proven fact that men overperceive. And I'm sure that plays into why these men think they're being tempted when nothing is happening. Now, you can take a man who's being so obviously flirted by.
No idea.
And they're just so over their head.
Maybe, that's like sometimes I wonder because I have like a big smile and dimples and all that. And I just like smiling's my favorite. Yeah. But like, I don't realize that it's happening until they're literally saying stuff. And I'm like,
and you're like, oh,
what?
That's not what I meant.
No.
Just trying to be nice.
No, I was just, because it happens to me so much. So much. Did I tell you really fast, just to go off a little story? The one time I got to be alone in the Roaring Rapids, a group of like maybe 15-year-old boys came up around me and they're just floating with me and I was really uncomfortable. And they said, you having a good time? And I went like this and I said nothing. I just turned my whole body. And then they were like, oh, and they floated away. But why?
They love you. And it's like, why?
I don't know. Here I am, a mom. I'm like, hey, I'm in my 40s. That's gross.
Yep.
That's gross. Me and Jake went on a whole conversation. My son, I will say, my son is going to be a good one. He is going to be a great one. And my goal in life for all my kids is to not have them have as much trauma. Yep. We're all going to have trauma. There's just no way around it. But to have maybe not
what you had.
Yeah. Not such a deep
not
trauma.
anything near what you had.
Not such deep trauma, because there's got to be something. I always think, even though I've been through tons of therapy, although I sometimes feel like I just still be in therapy. But even though I've been through tons of therapy, I'm like, do I project something? Do I put something off, that make me seem so open that guys are inappropriate with me so often? You know what I'm saying?
I think it could be partial energy because you do give off, and not in a bad way, but you do give off that very inviting energy. And that's not a bad thing.
No.
But I think to people who have no boundaries.
Who overperceive, but also have no boundaries. They are like, oh, I'm going to flock to that, because it's like most people, not most, because I think everybody, everybody's got their issues. But I think a lot of the time, if you're very open, the people who are going to want to latch on are people who are not going to have the boundaries or are not afraid to say certain things or be a little weird. 15-year-old boys.
Yes.
Because I get that a little bit too often. I was so happy in there. I was by myself finally, just smiling and going, maybe they thought I was smiling at them. I don't know. I didn't even see anybody till they were around me.
Yep.
I didn't even know anyone was near me. I was just in my own little world, happy, floating down there singing, don't worry, because they had that on. Be happy. Don't worry, I personally think I look like a dork.
And then they're just like, she's open. I don't know.
Yeah, boys. Old lady, let's go in there. I'm not an old lady, but to them, I should be.
Yeah.
To them, I should be mom lady.
I mean, to them, I'm an old lady too. Like, I'm like, oh my God, dude, this made me freaking die when I was 23. You know, my friend Tiny, she's a couple years younger than me. And so it was like me and my other 23, 25-year-old friends. And her group of friends were her age. And then she was like, oh, we're going to go to my friend's house. And they're like, oh, how old are they? And then she was like, oh, like 23, 25. We're like, that's so old. And I'm like, damn. Like, you're 21, Tiny? Like, shit. I'm not even like...
God.
Yeah,
that's
it's like,
awful.
I'm like, oh. But I'm glad they have that view. Keep having that view.
Yeah, please.
Have
it needs
that
to be
view.
happen more often.
Yes.
I will tell, I'm going to put this out there right now. Any young little boys that approach people our age, if any woman or man, I'm going to say women, you know, or men are cool with you approaching them, you're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Like they're predators.
Absolutely.
And I'm sorry, because whenever I see little 15-year-old, 16-year-old boys, I see my son.
Right.
That's who I see. And I just see a little kid, and they're just a little kid.
Yes.
You know, and just little kids. I'm like, oh, and I get so offended and grossed out.
What's even more disturbing is when those moms who also have a child that age have their friends come over.
It makes me so angry.
And they are into them.
It makes me so angry. It is not their fault. It is the woman's fault, the adult's fault, and it makes me angry.
Yes.
And it makes me so freaking angry. Because I'm just going to tell you, even if they're 18, an 18-year-old boy does not think like an adult. They might be physically an adult. Well, not physically even, but age-wise by government
Legally,
standards, an adult. But I'm also going to take that back to the fact that they did that back then so they could get them into the war.
Yeah.
So I feel like that adults should be raised to 21. And that's how I feel.
I agree.
You know, because I feel like that too many 18-year-olds think that they are adults, but they do not think like an adult.
I personally...
And their decision-making?
It's a proven scientific fact. Your frontal lobe is not fully developed until 25. Yeah. Why is 25 not the adult age? Because in my opinion,
there you go.
That's what it should be.
And if you've had trauma, it's stunted.
It is till 35, I believe. Yeah. So my thing is, why on earth, when we have the scientific proof that your frontal lobe is not, and that's your decision making, that's how you see the consequences of what you're doing, is literally not formed yet.
No.
Why? Why
are we telling them they're adults?
An 18-year-old is not an adult. Not an adult.
No. 20. Sorry.
Absolutely not.
No. 21?
Nope.
No. I'm sorry. I think 25 is a good spot to start.
I so agree, because I will say, and every single person that I talk to has said the same thing. When I turned like my mid-20s, I feel like just such a different person. I feel like I finally know myself. I finally am coming into myself and like understand myself. I could, at 21, 18, 19, 20, 21, I thought I knew myself. I was like, yeah, I can do whatever. I know everything.
Oh, I thought I was just, I'm going to go get an apartment.
Yeah.
I'm going to go do this. Yep. And I thought I was just so growing up.
And see, this is what Kylie and we have this discussion all of the time, and we want there to be a way, because we heard it at that age from older women, and we were over there like, oh, they're just jealous. How is there a way that we can get through to them without sounding like a jealous person?
So we're going to be the next ones. They're going to be like, oh, those older ladies are just...
Yeah, and it's like, I want to... and I feel like as a society, it's happening. I feel like a lot of younger women are finally... They're very smart.
I'm very proud of them.
Yes.
Yeah, like they're really getting that woman power.
Yeah, but I just wish there was a way that you could explain, like, there's just things you're not going to get until you're a certain age without it coming across that way. And I don't know if there is a way.
Past that,
you have to have you got to get past the age, and you have to have that like experience.
Yeah.
You have to like, you know, as I look back on certain things and I like that I thought was okay, and now I'm like, wow, like you are really disgusted at how adults will sexualize you at such a young age, and it's really disturbing. And again, you don't think it's a problem at that age, and then you become an older adult and you're like, oh.
And honestly, going back to the Nickelodeon stuff, like, I understand that these are fun shows. We all have great memories with them, but like, I just don't think there should be child actors. I just don't think we need to have movies with children in them. If we do, AI them in, whatever you need to do. Like, I just think there should not be child actors because, again, you have predators out there everywhere. They're going to be in the movie industry, obviously. Yep. And then on top of that, you know, usually the kids that are really, really I'm saying usually, not always. I do believe there is good parents that have their kids in film, but usually there's a lot of money factors in there. So they keep them in there. And as we witnessed, you know, and then they don't have the
frontal lobe
to make good decisions. Yeah. They don't have the idea. I'm sure, you know, with the 13-year-old girl who, you know, that popped up on our screen, what would have happened if it was in person and he was there to talk her through it? You know, it was through a screen.
Right.
It freaked her out, of course. Right. And she ran and told her mom, which is great. Yes. But what would have happened if it was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't. Because a lot of times they'll have things just pop up on their phone. Like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean for you to see that. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean for you. And then it would like a little bit, you know, and it's like you don't have the thought process to get a red flag that tells you like all the time, this isn't okay. When it's something more jarring like he did, that gave her like a star, like, I don't want to see this, you know, but when it's such a gradual thing, like obviously we heard most of them are done, they don't have the thought process to say, this isn't weird, okay, you know? Yeah. And take me back when I was 5. I definitely
wouldn't know. Of course,
had no idea.
No.
You know, but I also, again, I couldn't tell my mom. Right. You know? And then on top of that, he did the proverbial predator thing, which I'm going to kill you and your whole family. And, you know, and he did try to choke me out, you know? Yeah. So it's like, it's so hard. That's why I'm saying, like, why put him in that industry? Why put him in that position? Let them be my whole thing is just let them be kids as long as they can. Like, that's all I want in my kids' lives. Be kids as long as you can.
I so agree with that. And also, if for whatever reason your kid has to be in film, be present. You have to. You have to. And
have a therapist already on tap.
That's what there's a lot of talk about that. And I didn't realize this. So I can't remember what podcast I was listening to. I guess on reality TV shows, they have a therapist on like, not on air. What is it? On like backstage. Why is that not a thing for children?
Exactly.
That should absolutely.
You get them a tutor. Where's their therapist? So they have someone safe and confidentiality to go talk to. Now, mind you, if a therapist finds out that they are a mandated reporter, but the child doesn't have to know that. So that way it would all come out. You know, if a child would go and be able to have those conversations about, you know, even if they're giving you paychecks, they have no right to any part of you. Yeah. You know, like, just where is that? Because they don't want the children protected.
But then here's the flip side of that. What if the therapist is also a nasty, nasty person?
I would say I wouldn't say a appointed therapist from them. I'd say parents can go and make sure their child has a therapist through that whole process. I definitely wouldn't say if the network's like, oh, here's our therapist. I would, and maybe just not completely trustworthy. I'd want to get my own and do research and be like, here's your person. If you don't feel like you're safe to tell me, here's your person. I'm personally a big supporter of get therapy no matter what, just to have someone to talk to.
Everybody should. I think.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I think everyone should get some therapy just to have someone to talk to, because you might not even know of trauma that has entered your life that has shaped so many of your decisions.
You know what I find really interesting, and I really like that it's coming out, and it's crazy to me that it's just very recently coming about, how your mind and body are so connected, even when it comes to physical ailments. This is really taking a turn. I'm sorry, but
I think it's kind of relevant a little bit.
So Dr. Mike, as I'm sure all of you know, love him. He has a family medicine practice, and he said with his physical now, especially when he has a new patient, he is not a therapist, but he always asks how your brain is. And he said the amount of people that say, no doctor has ever asked me that, is shocking. And because it's a proven fact that he said he has had patients who have this shoulder pain or this hip pain, and they do all these scans and they don't find anything. And then they get to the root of it and they have all of this trauma. And your body physically holds on to stuff. And it's crazy that it's just now being like finally widely accepted is more so the thing. I think for a while, a lot of science has known that, but it's finally being widely accepted that.
So sad how slow it goes.
Oh my God.
Look at me. Like, I have MS. Walk into her appointment. First thing she asked me, have you had childhood trauma?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, what?
Yeah.
We see a lot of MS in people that have childhood trauma.
Crazy.
Which means that our bodies just started attacking ourselves because of our trauma.
Yes. Yeah.
It's insane to me.
So important to take care of your brain as well.
Yeah.
Well, that was a very
It was kind
this
of
was supposed to be scattered off the cuff, just, I just really wanted to. We'll do the Madeline Soto next week, but I didn't have the notes in order. That is something that I feel like needs to have its it needs to have its notes for, but this is something that is currently, very big right now. I wanted to jump on and talk about it because I do feel like it's important. I feel like as a whole society, we're kind of like coming together and like, it's just
realizing.
Like a warning almost. Yeah. And also just to talk about it, it's just
mourning for their childhood, mourning for our childhood. That's something that's so special. Or you guys as something that was so good. You're like, there was such a dark backing, it's always the worst when you find that out.
It's just sad.
Also just put out there again, just protect the people that cannot protect themselves.
Absolutely.
And I think that's just so important. We are so easy as a society to compartmentalize and push away the things that don't directly affect us, but in the long term, it does directly affect us because if we don't start really getting a handle on predators, because we haven't. Yeah. No matter how much you want, we might have parents that are a lot more aware, so we don't have like the 1970s kidnappings that happen all the time. There's not, like I have said it before, there's not a single person my age that I talk to that has not been molested. Yeah. And so, but I'm just saying, like, we still haven't got a handle on it. No. And because it's not in our life, we push it away. Right. And we're like, okay, that's sad. Or we're like, oh my God, that hurts so bad. That's so sad. And then we just go about our life without any change. Yep. And I don't even know what that change is. Right. Wish I could tell you. I have no idea, except for got to protect pull kids out of that TV land. And
if you see something, say something.
Say something. Say.
Absolutely. It's,
That's all we can do. Yeah. But again, do something. Yes. Do something.
Yep. Even if you're like, oh, I don't want to seem like I'm crazy, seem crazy because you could save people's lives that way. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. I think that's pretty good. I mean, and just so you all know, I'm actually working on Queen Elizabeth. Yes. So she's going to be a multi-parter. She will 100% be at least 2, maybe 3. She is.
This little Faith Bear heard me. My dog again is very excited for.
We talked about her after okay, so you were saying it too, but after I finished all of his wives, I felt sad.
I know.
And I was like, I need to dive back in.
I know.
Like I was like going to go on to like some kind of a redoing of one of our things. But then I was like, no.
Because it's been weeks that we've been like talking about it. And now it's like ended. And I'm just like sad.
But it's not ended. The story goes on. That's what's so sad. That's what's hard for me. I'm like, and the story goes on. I'm not going to cover Queen Mary because her life is just... Her life, we kind of seen her life shaped out, right? But you didn't really get to hear a ton about Queen Elizabeth. Yep. Mary's life kind of got shaped out. We know that Catherine Parr brought her back in, but we'll talk about that all because she is very much a part of Queen Elizabeth's story. Mm-hmm. So we'll get more Queen Mary. And I don't know when that's going to come out because I am deep into investigating, research. Yes. But she is, I always already thought she was awesome. Oh, yeah. She is Yeah,
I am
gonna be
very excited. So
Gonna be good.
next week will be Madeline Soto, guys.
Sad one.
This week is finally not as chaotic as last week, so I'll be able to get my notes put together. So next week will be Madeline Soto. It'll be kind of a dark one. Not kind of, it'll be a very dark one. Hopefully by then maybe more stuff will have come out about it too.
Yeah.
So maybe more can be covered than what we know currently.
We had the eclipse, and that's what's been all in the news. Just
oh my God, it's
the eclipse.
yeah.
The eclipse and Mercury.
Yes.
That's not been in the news. We just know about it.
Oh my God, my uncle's birthday was yesterday. So we were like out celebrating, but I was like, wow, I texted him like, happy birthday. He goes, oh, a birthday and the solar eclipse. What could possibly go wrong? And then I said, oh, and don't forget Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
but
want that on my...
oh,
No.
it was still a good one. It was still fun. I got
good.
some dinner at Makoto's and it was delicious. But
Makoto's.
Makoto's is hibachi for those who don't know. Okay.
All right, guys.
Now I'm
We're
rambling.
done.
All right.
And
I'll
you're
see
done.
you in the next year. You're done here. All right. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.